Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm going to warn you, I've been very sick. I have a terrible cough, and it's really hard for me to breathe, so this is going to be a short one, but I did want to go ahead and film since I missed last week. But this cold seems to be persisting, so I wanted to go ahead and get this done. This is not going to be a very long one. I'm not going to show any whips. I'm just going to show what I finished for this past couple weeks. I also have my KnitCrate here. It came last week, so I'm going to share it real quick. I do have a cough drop in, so hopefully all that won't annoy anybody too much, but I do need to kind of quickly get this done because the more I talk, the more I start to cough. So KnitCrate, like I said, came last week. So that's what the booklet looks like. So those are the colors that were for the month of November. Looks like a burgundy, a blue, and then kind of a creamy tan color. So the crochet project is this cowl. And it's called the Antidunes cowl. And then the knit project is a hat. And it says it has fingerless mitts with it. So so that's what the book looks like this time. I'm sorry I'm kind of rushing this, but as I said, the more I talk, the worse my cough gets. So it's by Knitology again. It's Knitology's Glowing Worsted, and my colorway is C. So it's blue. It's a solid blue. It's not tonal like they've been doing with a few of them. It's 40% superwash merino, 30% silk, 30% alpaca. It's a worsted weight yarn, 150 yards and 100 grams. So as usual, you get 2 of those. They're really soft. So very soft. I would say pretty close to like Karen Simply soft. I mean, I know that's not a fancy yarn, but that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head that's that soft. You know, it doesn't have the sheen like it, but it does have the feel of it. So very nice. And then they've been doing the little extras, adding a little extra in every box. And this time it's a tea. So you get some samples of some tea. I don't know how you pronounce that, so that's what the company name is. And it says, it just talks a little bit about it, and it has a peach and passion fruit, a strawberry sensation, and a mango. So that's nice. That'll be really nice right now. With my cold, I've been having to drink a lot of hot stuff, and I can only drink so much tea, so having an herbal tea will really help. So that is the KnitCrate. As always, if you've not tried KnitCrate before, you can use my coupon code that's in the description box below, and it'll give you 20% off your first purchase. If you use the link, then I get a little stipend that comes back into the channel in one form or another. So, like I said, all of that's always in the description box. So I'm going to get right into finished projects. The first one is the hat that I'm wearing. I did share this last time. I think I had finished the brim, but I had finished it, and I've been wearing it a lot lately. So It's just one strand of Mainstays black, and then one strand of, I love this metallic black, I think it is. It's this metallic thread, or metallic yarn from Hobby Lobby. So I just held them together, and I used a green loom. I have a very small head for an adult, so I can easily use the green loom, and all my hats fit perfectly fine. So my hat, I really do like it. Like I was saying last time, out of all of the hats that I have, I don't have just a black hat. Most of my hats are very colorful, and I wanted one specifically to wear with this black and white sweater that I have. So that's the first finished project. And then the next one is my first attempt at making an amigurumi on the loom. This is not, it's my pattern, but it's not my idea. I have been watching a lot of Llama Mama Kayla's and channel. She does a lot of loom knitting, and I was watching some of her older ones, and she created a turkey that was very similar to this, but she doesn't have a tutorial for it, so I kind of just winged it and did what I thought she did. So I used the blue Nifty Knitter loom, which is the smallest one, for the body, and then I used a flower loom. I believe it's a 12-peg flower loom for the wings and all of the feathers. And then I crocheted its little thing and the beak. And it's turned out really cute. I think if I was to do it again, which I might make another one for my grandson sometime this next year, and send it to him, because turkeys are kind of a thing in our family. It's a long story, I won't get into it, but my youngest daughter, she was born very sick, and we happened to come across this dancing, singing turkey at Christmas time, and it was the only thing that quieted her down because she was so sick. And so turkeys are kind of a big thing in our family, so I thought I might make my grandson one, but that's probably not going to be till next Thanksgiving. I just don't have enough time. We're going to be sending out their package this next week because they finally got moved. They found a place and everything, so like I said, I've run out of time, but I do plan on making him one in the future, and that way, they have their own, since it is a tradition in our family. But it turned out very cute. I wish that I could have figured out a way to do the back a little bit better. I mean, it's fine, but I had to try and fit in all these feathers in just the portion of the back. So I had to kind of double up these ones and kind of sew them so where they would fan out. But on the next one, I think I would make the feathers just a little bit longer so they can actually kind of be shown above the head. But it's really cute. I'm really enjoying it. I added it to our Thanksgiving decorations. I was hoping on making, I had some crochet turkeys that I wanted to make, but I think Thanksgiving's next week, so I think I'm just going to be done with the Thanksgiving projects. And I got so many things on my plate right now, it's ridiculous. So on to the next thing, which I've started doing. I've really been into loom knitting lately, and because making all of those amigurumis for my grandson it didn't burn me out, but I kind of needed to substitute something else in that's a little bit different, to try and keep my interest. I'm trying not to get into that slump that I have easily been falling into in the last year. So I've been trying to mix it up. When I feel like I'm getting a little bored with things, I'll switch to a different type of project, and that's what I'm doing right now, because I've been crocheting all of those stuffed animals for my grandson, and then I made some things for my daughter, and I got done making my sweater and all of that, so I just needed to mix it up a little bit. So what I've decided to do is I have tons of scrap yarns. I have projects that I have made for tutorials and I don't use. I have projects that I've made for when I was trying to sell stuff in my shop. So what I've decided to do is frog all of that stuff and contain it all into one area in these scrap forms. That way I can make a scrap afghan. It's loom knit. I am using the long yellow Nifty Knitter loom. Off the top of my head, I don't remember how many pegs it is. I think it's the second size, but it's the yellow Nifty Knitter loom. You could use whatever size. These are 12 by 12. They're not going to look like they are, but they are. So these are all made with just scraps of all the scraps that I have gathered up, and some of them are going to be like one color that I'm holding two strands together, and if the ball is big enough, then I will try and get a whole square out of it. If it's not big enough, then I will try and mix it up. So I kind of been going back and forth, and I think that's going to kind of help me not get so bored with this, but right now it's a mindless thing. And I can crank out a couple of these a day, so I have enough scraps to make any size afghan that I want. So, you know, in my spare time when I'm not working on other things, this is what I plan on doing. It's a way for me to, you know, to do something for my family and use the stuff that's just been sitting around. There's no point in just having projects sitting here and, you know, they're not being sold, they're not being used, but I can use the materials for something else. So I've slowly been doing that. So I have a whole stack here of squares. They are a 12 by 12 square. It's a double knit square. With the long looms, you have a way of wrapping it so it kind of double knits everything. So this is what they look like. They're thick and they're cushy, and I just really like them. I just tried it on a whim. I just had an idea. I wanted to do something with all these scraps I have sitting around, and I get very bored with doing granny squares or just regular crochet squares. I tried doing it on my knitting machine. I was doing those big panels, and I was getting very bored with that before I even got very far. And this is a way to use those scraps and all of that, and it's not so tedious on me. I can do this just mindlessly watching TV. But this is the first one. So it's just, this one actually is 3 strands of thin yarn held together. The green going into the yellow is what's left of a mandala, and then I have like 2 different variegated like baby yarns, old style baby yarns, probably at least 10 to 15 years old, that I've just had these scraps sitting around. Some of them, like the lighter variegated one, I have several balls of it, probably full skeins, and I bought it on clearance once thinking I was going to use it for when my youngest daughter was a baby, and I never got around to using it, and it's just kind of been sitting here. So this is a good way to use it and have it mixed with something else, because it's not a very pretty colorway in itself. So that's what I've been doing. I really liked this one. And this one's also 3 strands held together. When it's a really thin yarn, because normally when you do the double knit, you take either a bulky yarn or 2 strands of worsted weight yarn, but I have a bunch of yarns that are probably the equivalent of a 3 weight, even though their label probably said they were 4 weight. But so for those, I add 3 of them together, and that adds a really nice color texture to it. But this one's very pretty. And I love this one. This is also, it's 2 strands of, it's a Red Heart, that bright pink that Red Heart has. I can't think of its name. It might be Hot Pink. And then that, also that, what's left of that mandala skein. So it transitioned much better in this one than the other one, because I think the other one had a huge block of yellow in it. And then this is the one where I only had small scraps, so I tried to kind of make it sort of even by changing, you know, the color in a certain amount of inches, because in loom knitting you mostly go by inches. But I really love this up here. That's it's like that really ugly brown that Red Heart has, and then that's what's held together for half of it. And then it's that, what is it called? It's like Red Heart Ocean or something like that. It's that blue, yellow, and green one that they used to carry. I haven't seen it in a long time, but there's that one. And I kind of did the same thing with this one, other than this block is a lot bigger. But it's just going to be, you know, your standard scrappy Afghan. So I'm very pleased with how it's turning out. I did get a skein of black yarn to sew them all together. I don't know how wide it's going to be yet. But my goal is to have that big enough so my husband and I can cover up with it on the couch. If he is sitting on one end of the couch and I'm sitting on the other, and we can both comfortably cover up with it. We've gotten into some really cold weather. I know that this isn't going to be done this winter, but it will be really nice for next winter, because it is, since it's double knit, it's very cushy, and it'll be very warm. So it's very squishy, and you know, I'm really liking that aspect of it. And then I think I probably have enough scraps to make one for my daughter too, when I'm done with this one. So I think I'm going to sew those together today, and then see where I'm sitting on the width of it by then. And then I'll just keep adding until I need to, and then once I get the length that I need, or the width that I need, then I can just, you know, I'll know how many squares per row I need. I feel like that didn't make any sense. But I encourage anybody who has not tried loom knitting to definitely try it, especially if you're not a hand knitter. I do hand knit. I don't like it as well, but with loom knitting, you can whip out projects almost as fast as you can with crochet. Not quite, but you can, you know, whip them out pretty quickly. And that's the one thing about hand knitting that really gets me, is it takes forever. And this square in hand knitting would probably take me a month. And I can whip this square itself out in a couple hours, if that, depending on how much time I have to sit there constantly to do it. So I started this last week, and I have completed 8 squares, and I have half a square sitting on my loom right now, so it's probably almost finished. I think I got a couple more rows, so it's more than half. So definitely check out loom knitting if you haven't. Check out Llama Mama Kayla's channel if you haven't. She has excellent ideas for loom knitting. Like I said, that's where I got the idea for this turkey. She is a she has amputees on a lot of her fingers, so she does have struggles with things, but she can whip out things on the loom that you can't even imagine. She makes all kinds of toys and you know, blankets and everything. So she really inspires me, and that's where I, you know, got the idea for the turkey, was from her, and mine turned out perfect. I am working on a lion, a loom knit lion, for my daughter. My daughter's been asking me to make her a lion for a while now. Before I started the stuff for my grandson, and I need to get that done. So I decided I wanted to go ahead and loom knit it, because I really like the, you know, the structure of the body on this. But the only problem was I didn't write it down what measurements I used, because like I said, in loom knitting you don't really do number of rows, you do like number of inches. So on her lion it's a little bit bigger than this, so I'll remember that next time to go a little bit smaller. But it's, you know, it's fine. I am doing the legs and arms the same way that I do the arms on this in the feathers. I just stuffed them. And then I'm going to go back and loop crochet the hair and mane and all of that, and crochet the mouth, and stitch on the nose and everything. So I have been working on that. I did start a new dog sweater for our dog. I didn't bring that out. Like I said, I've already talked more than I should have. And then I've been working on squares. So yeah. So I'm sorry I didn't film last week, but like I said, I've not been feeling well at all. This has been a very horrible cold, and it's just lingering. I'm having a real hard time breathing, and the more I talk, the more, obviously I'm losing my voice, but the more I cough, and coughing hurts my chest. So that's my complaint for today. But I did want to go ahead and do this because I did have quite a bit to show. I'm sorry I didn't bring out my whips, but that would be forever long. I feel like I'm so scatterbrained today. But I think next podcast I will try and remember to show you kind of the bins that I've been working on with the scrap yarn, and then the projects that I'm going to be frogging and all of that. So yeah, I hope everybody's having a good week, and I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate Thanksgiving. I know other countries don't celebrate Thanksgiving, it's an American thing, but I did want to go ahead and wish you guys that, since Thanksgiving is next week and I won't film till afterwards. So yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye!